morning. My co-host is none other
Tanya Lane.
The St. Andrews South Beat is a special program designed to explore issues affecting the St. Andrews South Division. We'll be focusing on breaking the barriers of several issues affecting our division and you, our valid residents. Today, we have in studio a beautiful young lady by the name of Kai Clark, who have, of course, beaten the odds, Tanya, to several
She survived.
issues. She's a survivor, and it is a beautiful story. I met her about 2 weeks ago through another friend, Ava Lindo. I want to thank Ava for the introduction.
So who you
And
go
of
like
course-
from Shea Baby no?
Well, it felt that way. So we invite your listeners to participate in this program by calling 876-372-8446 or WhatsApp us at 876-225-9478. You can listen live on rootsjamaica.com. Follow us on Facebook at RootsFMJA and share your thoughts in today's program. You can also follow us on Instagram at Roots96.1FM_Jamaica or Twitter us at Roots_96.1FM. You can also send your WhatsApp message, like I said earlier, at 876-225-9478. And of course, the program is brought to you by the new Budget Supplies. Always the best prices. Tanya, how are you doing?
I am good. It's good to be in the house.
Good. So, this woman that you see seated to my left has a beautiful story.
Yes.
Which I want persons out there to realize that irrespective of the many challenges that we may face on a daily basis, we can rise above it irrespective of. And I remember in the Police Week, Tanya, when I invited her to be the guest speaker at the symposium that we had at Hunts Bay, where over 65 students was impacted from the symposium. She shared a beautiful story. And I believe it is a story that I would want the entire Jamaica to hear of.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we are faced with some obstacles and some challenges that would have showed on what honest so we can't bother. And Kai, when I listened to her, I realized that when Jesus say yes,
Nobody else says
nobody
no.
else can say no. So in studio this morning, listeners, it's Kai Clark.
Hello,
And
hello.
of course, I'm just going to allow her to give a brief synopsis of herself before we delve into the program. Kai, welcome to Roots 96.1 FM. On behalf of the Senior Superintendent of Police, Kirk Ricketts, SP Damian Manderson, the officer in charge of operations, and all the men and women of the St. Andrews South Division, we want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be a part of this dino of a program. Welcome, Kai.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel so privileged and honored. Like, it is unbelievable for me to be here and sharing something that I don't really think is a big deal, but I'm understanding now it's a big deal. So let me get right into it. Again, I don't think it's a big deal, but I am going to share my story and hopefully it impacts others to
She's
get
just
up.
being modest, Tanya. It
No,
is
no,
a
no,
big
no.
deal. When you listen to the story, have you read the bio, Tanya?
I have read it, and I see where she's 22 years of age. I can remember that age. I think, if my memory
that's a long
serves me
time.
correct, I was hey, and I just did a day that. Can I still
It's a
remember?
very, very, very long time.
You're as young as I feel.
Look here. I just did a day that.
Okay.
All right. And when I talk about just the other day, probably about
Well,
last
this is
week
what
or
I
so.
22 multiplied by 4. You're good at math, so you can remember. You can know that. Right.
It's good. It's good to have you in the house. Just tell the persons who you are and just who you are, and then we'll get into your story.
Okay, so I'm still figuring out who I am. But as she said, I'm 22 and I'm an engineer. I'm a working engineer. I'm a graduated engineer as well. I have a degree in engineering and I work, as I said, in engineering. So I also have a chronic illness. It's RRMS, relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis, a very, very long phrase just for a simple statement where my body does not listen to my brain. So it doesn't do it all the time, you know. Sometimes it decides that it don't feel like walking today, or it don't feel like seeing today, or it feels like I shouldn't smell things. At one point I thought I had COVID too, but I didn't, thank God. I also just, sometimes the brain decide that it itself doesn't want to work, so sometimes I don't have any memories. And it is a scary thing to have, but once you learn the ins and outs of it, you get to really live your life as you want to. So I don't think, again, I am going to repeat this as many times, I don't think it's a big deal. But I'm hoping that if you listen to my story, you will understand that obstacles and challenges come your way, but they're only coming your way. You are not, I will repeat, you are not a definition of what happens to you. What you overcome is what defines you. And you can have so many things coming at you, but once you jump over whatever is happening, you are a better, a newer, and a more beautiful person.
Kai, tell the listeners how long have you been faced with this illness? MS, relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis, and tell us about some of your daily activities. When did this all start happening? How did your parents react? What did it allow you? How did it allow you to feel growing up? And did you feel like giving up when you realized that this was happening to your body?
Okay, let's start the entire story. I was diagnosed in 2017. In 2017, I was still in high school. I was 17 years of age. Yes, I age with the years.
My age.
Pigment of your imagination. We'll continue. Yes.
You're as young as you feel. I will say that again.
Yes.
So yeah, I was diagnosed in 2017. I was in high school and I was a sports fanatic. I did 3 sports. I was a leader. I was in charge of many clubs and associations. I was also, what would you say, a mentor.
You're very active.
Yes, I was very active, and I would say very popular because my friends at that time were...
Use the word famous.
All right.
Okay, I was well known. Yes. So I was the ideal, as you would say, the ideal high school girl, you know, living her best life. And then I was in the gym one day being trained, and I realized that I could not lift a dumbbell. Well, I could lift it, but it wouldn't stay in my hand. My fingers were curling around the handle of the dumbbell, but it just uncurled by itself. I didn't try to uncurl it. I didn't attempt to put down the dumbbell. It just fell seamlessly from my hand. And then it developed throughout the day at the same gym where I had a spasm. So a spasm is like a seizure, except your body decides that it is having a problem not only moving, but your brain and your body are in a war, because your brain is telling your body move, but your body is saying, me don't want to do it. So basically you seize up on one side of your body and you just start shaking uncontrollably. So that was the development of when I felt the first impact of my MS. Went to the hospital. They told me that I had a stroke. I was like, oh, okay. At this point, it has been like a week. I was told I had a stroke. And I was like, okay, how do I get over this? Because at that point, I'm still 17. I was in so many clubs and associations. So I was prone to injuries. So I didn't take it as a big deal. I was still going through my life, behaving as any high school girl would, partying, all these things. And then after 2 weeks, I didn't get back feeling in my arm. It actually worsened. I couldn't feel the same. I couldn't feel my right leg or my right arm. So I was limping up and down the place. I was still playing sports on the leg that I could barely move. The arm couldn't, it couldn't catch, so I just lifted or I just caught with my left hand. That's how good I was in sports.
Yeah.
I was using my other side of my body to do everything. I even learned how to write with my left hand because my right hand wasn't working.
Yeah.
And then it got up to the point where when I went back the second week, they said, okay, Kai, you have a rare form of HIV. I was like, that don't make no sense. At that age, it did not make any sense for me. But then I didn't believe them, so we went and we got a second opinion. A week later. A week later, it had developed to the side of my face. I could not lift a side of my mouth. I could barely see throughout one eye, and I could not smell or hear from my nose and my ears. Yeah. So at that point, we did some MRIs of my brain and of my spine, and they found some lesions. So I want to explain what lesions are.
Yes, tell us.
Scientifically, no, but simply, it is just like holes on your body, like a bag of holes. I have a lot of lesions on my brain. I have a lesion where my spine is connected to the lower half of my body. So for a long time, I told people I do not have a connected spine. My spine is disconnected, which is kind of true.
True, yes.
But it's just that the nerves that connect my spine to the lower half of my body, they are just not
Connecting.
as strong as they used to be.
Okay.
So the myelin sheath that covers the nerves, they are scraping away, or they're kind of totally gone. And the transmission of the connection between the brain telling my body or my legs to move is like static, like radio.
So at no time did this scare you at any time in your life to say, wow, I may never walk again, I may never see again, I may never smell again, I may never hear again? Weren't you scared at any point in your life?
So at this point, I was not scared. I was still the high school girl. I was very naive.
Remember, you're young.
Heart of a
I'm young. Young people think different. She survived, and to survive is to continue to live or exist despite the dangers of
Very
life.
much so, very much.
Yeah, continue, tell us. Continue.
But eventually, those symptoms I came out of a relapse. So all of those symptoms was a relapse, and it just kept getting worse and worse because I was not taking care of myself. I was still damaging my body, and I was not taking any medicine.
Imagine by continuing to play in sports.
Yes, very much so. That did not help one bit.
Okay.
So that relapse ended, and they eventually diagnosed me with multiple sclerosis. Not in the kindest way. They were kind of frightened as well when they told me that I had MS. They were like, "Okay, so we have a very bad thing to tell you. I'm so sorry. I don't want to be a deliverer of bad news." And I was like, "What is happening?" And it was not a very good thing, in my opinion, how she told me. But I respect the doctor anyways. Moving on to my first year of university, I was advised previously by neurologists alike. First and foremost, let me just talk on the neurologist thing. For any neurologists listening to this, can you guys not charge us $10,000 for anything concerning MS? I would really appreciate that, because I was not going to pay that. How was I going to get that? That is a year of my tuition. Again, moving forward now. So it really
It's a whole heap of money. 10,000 US is a whole heap of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yes.
They wanted me to go to America, get the stuff, and this is just no. So I was advised by like 3 neurologists to not do the degree that I wanted to do. And I was like, that's not gonna happen. At that point, I felt kinda distraught, like my life is not happening the way I want it to. I wanted to do aerospace engineering. Did not get to do that. God has a plan though. I went to UWI Mona and I studied electronics engineering. Electronics engineering, my first year, they advised me not to do electronics engineering, said I wouldn't survive till the end of my degree.
So they write you off dead.
Basically they wrote me off. That neurologist told me to totally stop. He had it in his heart to be kind. He was trying to be kind to me, but he still peeved me the wrong way, and I wanted to prove him wrong. Anyways, my first year of engineering was not that difficult because I met some amazing friends of mine. I I had some friends who slept with me in the hospital. It was really, really good of her. I had friends who wrote for me for my notes. I had friends who carried my bag because I was still limping around the place when the relapse came. The relapses came more frequently at that time because I still was not taking care of myself. So, so when relapses came, this time it was just the loss of the mobility in my right hand and my right leg. And they wrote notes for me, and they walked or tried to lift me up to bring me to class, slept with me in the hospital. They were very good friends. They are very good friends. I thank God for them every single day. I believe he sent them as angels. I believe he sent angels down as friends for me. And I will never, ever, ever forget them. They have my heart in their hands right now. Okay, so in my second year, so my first year I got a 3.8 GPA. Yeah, 3.8 GPA. Was
That's excellent work.
Yeah, it was the second highest GPA, I believe. Second for that year. And then in second year, it was my worst ever relapse. I was out of school for 4 months. So one thing to know about engineering,
you can't miss a day.
You can't miss an
class,
hour.
not even an hour of class.
You can't miss an hour, much less a day, much less 4 months. So I am a smart woman. I will admit to that. I am smart. I'm not going to run around that. I have intelligence that, people have commended me for, but even I never believed I could get back in a 4 months of engineering maths. I could not. Engineering maths 1 was hard. Engineering maths 2, whew. All right. So then when I missed the 4 months, I was dropping out of school. I was just saying, okay, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be a thing right now, maybe later in the future, but right now I'm going to drop out. But before I even get into the entire dropout scenario, my relapse at that time, I had lost mobility of everything. I was basically paraplegic. From the neck down, I had so much difficulty moving the hand. Like if I'm in the middle of a bed, a queen size bed, my hand to the edge of the bed would take me at least 10 minutes. To stand, well, I couldn't stand. I crawled everywhere in my house. And when I mean crawl, I mean soldier crawl, like when you go up on your elbows and your
combatic, yes.
Yeah, so there at that point I could not feel my hands or my legs. I had bowel problems. I had loss of vision, but basically no vision because one eye was left and one eye was turning up. And then I could not speak as well, so I was saying 1-syllable words. Yes, no. I was even saying if I wanted food to eat, I would just go yum. Yeah. So at that point, I don't think I gave up. I just said, all right, maybe I need to slow down a bit and try not to think so far ahead in my life. I also had severe memory problems. So again, no matter how many times I wanted to go back into class, I could not remember what the teacher was saying, even if I just wanted to just be there.
Tell us, I'm sure you would have been home with your parents, your mother and your father. What was the mental state of your parents seeing their child suffering in a way like this?
Well, I live with my mom. My dad at the time. Okay, so I live with my mom, and my mother did not handle it good at all. She also is sick. She has arthritis, severe arthritis. So my mother does not work near where we live. So she used to drive back and forth in her lunchtime just to get me something to eat because I could not go downstairs to get anything to eat. So she had to ensure that I ate. So she would drive to work in the mornings just to say that she is at work, then drive back home, prepare me something to eat, feed me it, and then
left for work.
Exactly. And it took a toll on her so much that she has serious inflammation now. It still impacts her to this day with her illness. And then I asked her, and then she called in my grandma and my aunt Marvia. So all of those women, I am grown by a strong set of women. I have principles and beliefs from a strong set of women. My grand aunt, my mom, my grandma, all of them, amazing. So There were even days for them just looking at me, not being able to do anything because they couldn't lift me. They're all in their age. They couldn't lift me. So there were days where I just woke up, vomited, and not back out. Woke up, vomited, not back out. And I didn't eat anything. I didn't drink anything. So it was just blood coming out. And they thought I was not going to make it. But they couldn't do anything.
You're just waiting.
They're just waiting. And my grandma is shouting and near tears saying, you need to take her to the hospital. We need to take her to the hospital. But the hospital can't do anything for me because MS is not something common in Jamaica. The last time I went to the hospital, actually, I racked up so much debt because they were just doing tests and tests and tests, and it did not help. I didn't get any better. So then, back to the dropping out part. The week before COVID came, I had gone to my faculty's office and said, sir, I don't think that this is the time for me anymore. He could see that I could not see, that I could barely walk. He could see all of that. I struggled up the stairs to him. Took me like 45 minutes. And
to get up the stairs.
Yeah. And he said, no man, you still have like 2 more months left to try and catch up. And I was like, all right.
How am I going to do this?
Exactly, yeah.
It's engineering. It's not one of those easy walkover degrees.
Nope. It wasn't that at all. It's not something I could just try read up and catch up on. I had to understand and implement the information. Anyways, the week before COVID came. So when COVID came, everything went online. So at this point, I crawled so hard to try
it wasn't a bad thing for you.
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. When COVID came, I crawled and tried to catch up with everybody else. I tried.
Well, you would have been in the comfort of your own bed and
it was online.
The hustle and bustle to get to UA, so maybe it was a blessing for you.
It was a bad thing for you.
I even posted it on my Instagram that, when COVID came, everybody had these hard periods, but when COVID came, I was blessed. And I don't want to say blessed in that sense, but I'm not happy, but I'm okay. It was a good thing in a way for me. And I lost my grandpa to COVID, so I'm not saying it's a good thing. But, everything has a plan. God has a plan. So that year, I met up with everybody, and my classmates are amazing. They taught me everything
that you
in my second year. They were, as I said, God sent some angels down as friends, and it was amazing for me in my first and second year with the support. I graduated. I got the highest top performer in electronics engineering for that year. I had a 3.95 GPA that year.
So you see, the GPA keep climbing.
Yeah, it was a okay year for me. Yeah, I believe that. But then I realized suddenly that all this time in me trying to survive this illness, this very stupid illness, in my opinion, I did not live at all. I had just wasted 2-3 years of my life, and it was going down the drain.
You one of the things that Kai, you have to understand is that you are pretty young. If you even turn your 22 around, you're still 22. At 22, I was a widow. You're still young, believe me. You're amazing of the things that you have happened. You spend a lot of time working on yourself, focusing on what you love doing, what brings you a lot of joy, and what you could easily do without being paid. So you have done well, extremely
22
well. 22.
I'm 22 now, but back then I was like 18.
Yeah.
I was wasting my teen years.
No, that's a pretty. Even now, you're on top of the world.
Yeah, at 22, you would have done well. Kai, before we go to the break, I want to know how long in your second year did the illness continue all through second year, or did you get well at any time that you were able to catch up with yourself and to say, thank God, this is over, and I hope that relapse does not come back again?
Okay, so I was only sick for the second semester of my second year. The first semester, I was perfectly fine. Well, not perfectly, but, it had the days where it was bad, and then it just went well. So it was just the second semester, and when I said that it was looking up for me was when I decided that I was not going to let my illness make me its puppet, and I was going to enjoy my life. So I started boxing, and I started dancing, and I did things that I enjoyed. I traveled more. I started practicing to drive more so I could have my own independence. And I sought love.
But with that illness, Kai, you weren't allowed to drive. What if you've gone into some relapse? That's a big heart.
I think
for an 18-year-old.
I think with her body not working, her brain had more power over the entire being, and because of that, he kept her going and keep going. I think the brain took over the entire being.
In a way. But still, I strongly believed I wanted to live and not just survive. That was just the main reason. And I took up boxing, and I said I didn't feel strong, so I started boxing. I didn't feel pretty, so I started dancing. I didn't feel adventurous, so I started traveling. I was artistic always, so I started writing more and more and more poems. And then I believe that at that point it just started looking up for me. In my third year, I didn't focus at all on school. My third year was my worst year set for GPA-wise, since you guys are saying it just kept rising.
On that thought, before we go on to the third year, we're at the junction of the program. We're going to take a commercial break. Don't move that dial tone. You're listening to Roots 96.1 FM, and this is the program St. Andrew South Beat. We'll be right back.
If you give a little more than you take, and if you try to fix more than you break.
New Budget Supplies massive price buster now on. Want to redo that kitchen? Retile that old floor? Stop that leaking roof? Make over the bathroom? It's now or never. White toilet from $14,999. 5-gallon paint from $6,599. Gypsum board $1,749. 15% off UPVC French windows. 10% off kitchen sinks, water tanks, and pumps. 195 Hackleburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
I'm free from the fear.
The Ararat Evangelistic Association presents Walk Free here on Roots 96.1 FM in a new time, 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. On Walk Free, you will hear life-changing testimonies, inspirational messages, and music to encourage you. Remember, tune in to Walk Free. Listen every Sunday from 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. And if you've missed it, tune in to the rebroadcast on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. Tune in and be blessed.
Freedom is coming. Freedom is coming. Freedom is coming. Oh yes, I know.
Tune in this and every Sunday from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. to Moments of Freedom, the weekly broadcast of the Riverton Meadows and Mamby Park Baptist Churches, with host pastor Reverend Sidney Hall. Join us with opened minds and hearts and be blessed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. If you give a little more than you take, and if you try.
Welcome back. This is St. Andrew South Beat. If you're just joining us, you may call us on 876-225-9478, or you may send us a WhatsApp on 225-9478 and share your thoughts on today's discussion. You can also listen live on rootsjamaica.com. Go follow us on Facebook at Roots FM Jamaica. Follow us on Instagram at Roots96.1 FM _Jamaica, and on Twitter at Roots _96 FM. Remember now, the program is brought to you by New Budget Supplies, always the best prices. Of course, we have none other than a survivor, a lady, Kai Clark. When you think about that, you probably think about Superman. When you think about the word Clark, Ken Clark. So you're not really far with Kai Clark, Ken Clark, so you're a little bit close. The idea of purpose. Just purpose. And I believe that that's one of the things that kept you going, is your purpose to live. And I said it earlier and I will say it again, Kai, is that your mind your mind. You put some things in your mind and it developed your body from rags to riches. You have done well using that great brain of yours to send different messages to each joint of your body that process you to who or what you are today's date and for what to come. You will empower a lot of people to come. You will allow young people to grow and to think when they listen to your story, and it will make them a better person and think more of what they can be and not what they are not. Because I also believe that your mind can take you a lot of places. And it's good to have you in house, and your story will empower a lot of people. You are at the third stage of your life. And again, welcome to St. Andrew's South Beat, and we're happy to have you and to hear the joy that comes from the pain. Alex.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, Kai, I remember at some stage in your bio where you had mentioned that you went to being a total paraplegic, the loss of visions. You were not able to breathe properly. You were not able to see properly. But despite all of that, you went through university. You got excellent GPAs. You graduated with honors, and you went to form your own foundation. I want you to tell us about the ending journey of university and you forming your foundation, and of course writing a book.
Yeah, it's ready.
Yeah.
Yes. She wrote a book.
So tell the people
She
so that they
graduated through the obstacles, through the relapsing, remitting multiple sclerosis, which me don't know if me could have.
I will power that. You know?
Yeah, me don't know if me.
I'll know me not call it.
Me don't know if me as a man could have the will and the power and the strength
Alex,
to go through all of that. Yeah, me have a will and but this young lady outdo me by far. She graduated with excellent GPAs. Me but I just straight book and say me can't bother. Me just can't bother.
Too much stress.
Too much stress for my body, too much stress for my brain, and then me I work for maintain IGP and then for graduate. But me but I drop out from university. Long time. I remember when I was at university and me I buckle in a statistics and calculus. Kiss all my teeth. I remember my first exam, me I get all a D. I said, no, this is it. I feel dunce.
You know, if no after the feeling, they didn't mean dunce.
No, I feel dunce. So I said, no man, but when me when me go through Kai, me I said, through all of this, this girl is able to maintain excellent GPA, graduated, then after graduation, she got farm company, and then after that, through all of that, she got write all book. No man, tell us about that.
So where's the book? You don't even walk with any of the books so we can read.
I don't even have any with me. They're not done in Jamaica yet.
No, okay.
I was selling them on Amazon. I'll tell you all guys about that. All about that. But you'd say I formed company after I graduated. No, I formed it when I was in first year.
Same thing.
You
saw me tell it, Tanya.
Even during
her stress and her problem, she a maintain engineering degree, GPA, and a farm company. No man.
But when
no extraordinary. You're no ordinary woman.
No. I am. I tell you,
whether you want to own it, what yes or no, irrespective of the angels, God say him help those who help themselves. And you did help yourself.
And you talk about dunce. You want to know my first math grade? 11%. That was it.
No.
But if you turn it round, I still won.
No, I don't think I've gotten 11%. Me too even shame for telling when I get.
Alex, you can't get that.
Oh.
Me my 11 F, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Exactly.
You passed D, she got F.
D. D, I was like, when the teacher gave me the paper, I was like, no, man.
The D don't
Oh,
say,
when
but
you do your
they
song.
live the F of foolishness.
I'm like, what am I doing here,
The
sir?
D don't, but the F of foolishness.
Well, as Kai said, we had some angels at the university
And
because
they
I had
assist.
friends that pulled me aside and I said, "This is it, me. I got married." Them said, "No, you're crazy. Come, let me teach you the formulas how to get good grades." And I eventually start getting good grades.
That's it.
And the calculus and the statistics.
You learn from measure water.
Because of course, remember, my father said one chance,
One chance.
one and only chance. So if you go to university and you don't finish, you're up on your own like Patti LaBelle. So, one chance. Tell us, Sky,
I
your
don't
farm
want-
company through an illness. Tell us about that.
I don't want you guys to think that I'm this like smart person.
You are smart.
Wait, no, hold on.
Listeners,
Use another
she
adjective.
is smart.
Extremely
Don't use that. We're going to put extremely smart.
No, guys, hold on. I am not. I am book smart. I study, but I am not just. I don't just know something. I don't just get something the one time. I have to look at it about 10 billion times to
You're
understand
persistent.
it. Yeah, I'm persistent.
You're
But
persistent.
as well as that, I have failed so many. That 11%, it was the second highest in the class.
So Anna, you are the
Anna, you are the
problem.
problem.
And the lecturer.
no.
We're not taking a lecture now. We're not stepping that grass the
Nobody never did
concept
that.
good.
Understand?
No,
We
then,
never
well,
test them with that grass
you
the
know why?
concept at all.
Right, that's what everybody does. If I 11% of the second,
And the second highest. But I like to see who come last with them girls.
Some people get HIJK.
It was a really
Zero.
yes,
What up a zero?
Yeah, it was a lot of zeros actually.
So it means something learning did not take place. That's what it means. Because somebody can wrong. Learning did not take place.
I'm not gonna say that. He's
No,
the guy
I
was a
think
very
it's
good math teacher.
application of us students.
All of them, Alex.
Yeah, no, all the way.
But the one person that was the highest, he got an A. So screw.
That tells us that the teacher
It did
teach.
go a long time.
No man, the man just grasp the
Alex, it might
concept
go extra
properly.
lesson.
I don't think so. Anyway, Kai,
It
tell us
wasn't
about
naturally
it. Your
smart.
farm company during your illness. We want to hear about
Yeah.
it.
So when I got sick the first time in my first year, I was like, I don't want anybody else to feel like this. This don't make no sense. So I started Undamaged. Undamaged is a company towards easing suffering without pain, which I believe that there are so many things in life that try to put us down, and we are suffering so much because of it. And if we just sit back and I don't know, it is built with a poetry page which is artistically inclined, and a podcast as well as a blog. So all those surround one major point: easing suffering without pain. And I speak on topics of personal finance, personal development, self-love, healing, turning your anger into fitness and health. All of that is also tied into my book, which is also titled Undamaged: Igniting the Passion with the Fire Within. And somebody the other day asked me where I even got the igniting the passion with the fire within part. And it's because as human beings, we're built with this innate feeling inside of us that we're built for something more. That's the passion within. But how do we ignite that fire to allow that passion to continue to burn, to continue to develop, and to become something that others can be empowered with and can act on and can live, maybe financially achieve from it? Just because we have this feeling inside of us, and this society today tells us that we need money to achieve a lot of our passions. A lot of our passions need so much money,
True.
apparently. But that's not what I'm trying to convey.
Right.
The passion that you have within yourself can be achieved if only you believed in yourself more. Financial obligations that are going to happen because this is human beings and we are societal beings or whatever. But don't let that stop you. There are always ways. For example, my engineering tuition was $10,000 US per year. I live in a single parent household. I had to find a way. I wanted to do engineering.
You're the only child?
I am the only child for my mother, yes.
Okay.
So I got 10 scholarships, and it's not a matter of I went and I saw the tuition and I just got totally defeated with the illness and everything, or with how hard the degree is. I went, I saw it, and I said, all right, so how we're going to do this is not looking at it, seeing how impossible it is, and then giving up. It is looking at it and saying, how?
Figure out a way.
Yeah. And I would like for people to change their mindset for that matter, because in Jamaica it is very prevalent. When we see a problem in society, the first thing we do, blame government. Second thing we do, blame police. Third thing we do, blame friend, family. Fourth, blame everybody else but not ourselves. You look at the problem, you figure out how can I achieve this, and how can I get over this? How can I not allow this to put me down?
Right.
That is the one thing that we need to do in order for society to prevail in Jamaica, in my opinion.
Right.
Take accountability. So my book also, I detailed in an artistic way, in my opinion, about a woman who is going through this hardship that takes her from anger to trauma and pain to self-love, healing, and then the love of others.
Right.
And just by detailing the story and inputting poems and descriptive pictures,
Right.
I'm trying to evoke the reader's emotions to understand that whatever the person is going through, whatever hardships she has faced, you as well, wherever you are going through, whatever you are going through, you are able to go through it and combat it and go straight to loving another just as how you love yourself.
That's right.
So, in Undamaged, igniting the passion with the fire within is simply as it says. We are igniting the passion with whatever we have inside of us, this innate feeling that we were made and built for more. That's literally all it is. Literally.
And the foundation, who is it impacting? And tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so I have begun starting a multiple sclerosis foundation for those in Jamaica. Throughout my journey, I didn't really feel like I had a lot of medical support. The medicine available here did a lot of damage to my body. I can tell you guys that I was a very fit person. Remember that part? Yeah, I was a very fit person. And then I went on the steroids and all the other drugs, and it just bloated me up, and I did not get any better. In my opinion, I got worse. But I'm not blaming the doctors. I am not, because they did the absolute best, and I'm forever grateful to them. But as well as the fact that they recommended some medicine to me, and it had some awful side effects, like my liver was going to be damaged, or I was going to have heart problems, or it was just not a good look for me. So my foundation focuses on finding a homeopathic way of helping us to live better. So I'm on homeopathic medicine.
Persons listening want to know what that.
What does that mean? Because it's another big word.
You can break it down. What it mean?
Natural medicine. We all love natural things in Jamaica, right?
Yes.
So it's natural medicine. I go to Dr. Senior. He helps me and those and my friend who is also a part of my foundation to handle our problems. And it takes some time for it to work, but the long run is a very, very better chance than whatever they had for us in the hospitals. And it was not breaking our pockets. So the foundation helps those with my illness to find a better way of handling their illness. I want to also give them tips and tricks, because throughout the 5 years I've also been able to judge when I'm going to have a relapse, how to handle certain relapses. The foundation also provides a community support system. So I'm able to speak to them if they want me to speak to them, or my friend also could speak to them, or another person could speak to them. I also have a therapist on standby if they would like to speak to a therapist. I am looking for a community center where we could go and just be ourselves and have some fun. But it's basically just an entire community towards others without MS, to understand that, hey, we're here in Jamaica and we're prevalent, and we're not only suffering, quote unquote, but we are prevailing. Just like how you guys are praising me for, I want to say, quote unquote, living. I want them to look at the other MS individuals, because I know some of them, and you look at them and say that I'm me a salt. Them a salt and pepper, me a salt. Honestly, they go through so much more.
So persons would want to wonder, is it that your organization only deal with individuals who are suffering from MS, or persons who have other illness and want to the natural way of healing can contact you guys?
I only focus on those with MS, but if you would like to understand how I developed or how I got better with homeopathic healing, I'll be happy to help you as well.
Okay.
Or you focus on what you have experience with.
Yeah, I don't want to go and tell someone with ALS or
and you know nothing about it.
and I know
that.
nothing about it. Yeah.
Which is fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. Alex, unfortunately, this is not necessarily the case, the MS for many people, but there are cases, some are even worse than yours, some are within the same level of yours,
Very much so.
or some are even less than yours, but pain is pain.
Pain is pain.
Pain is pain. Like they say, sin is sin. If you turn NIS back way, you recognize that it is also sin when you turn it around. But what do you do when you want to be when you grow up? That's a familiar question that people always ask, because you want to grow up during your illness and you can't do anything. And I know for some part in your mind you talk about healing from the home, but there must have been something within. And that's just something that I want persons to recognize, that inner thing. Because without that inner thing, you're not going to do it.
That's true. That's very
You're
true.
not going to do it. You have to start developing you as a person and start believing in yourself. And that's one of the things that I believe, that once you start believing in what you're doing, where you're going, even if you just reach the door and die after, you made it. And those are the things that I want person to take from your story, that they can live. But living comes from within, no matter how hard it is. My mom used to say that this too will pass away.
Yeah.
This too, nothing lasts forever, because bell must ring, School
Life goes
must
on.
over.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I want them to get from your story. Young people, that not because you're living within the society that you go around and nobody's making it, it doesn't mean that you're not going to make it. Not only from an illness, but did you know that people can be ill financially, emotionally,
Yeah, very much.
and spiritually, but not just have a physical illness. And those are the things that I want them. And then when it comes to those kind of illness, they choose different roads, and those are the easier road, and it's not going to last long. And your story should empower them to grow within themselves and learn how to save you as a person. Because one of the things that I do believe, Kai, is that you can only save if you want to be.
Tanya, we have 5 minutes to go into the program, and I don't want the listeners to believe that Kai relies on self to get through all of that. Kai is also a Christian. She's a believer in God. She's a worshiper. And for the next 4 minutes, Kai, I just want you to encourage our listeners who may be faced, not maybe with any form of illness, but other things that they're battling in their personal life, to help them to realize that once you have a mindset, the inner strength, and of course relying on the unseen being to help us through our difficulty, to get through what you have. Because you may not see it, but your strength, we classify it as a superwoman. Your strength would have motivated a lot of persons. I remember coming out of the symposium that after Kai had left, many persons would have called and said, "Where you find a girl here?" She brought many persons to tears in the symposium. Many of the students would have called the Dean of Disciplines. I would have gotten some excellent feedback, Kai, to say that we would have restructured our mindsets to let us believe, irrespective of what we are going through as students,
we can make it.
As teachers, as Dean of Discipline, we can make it. Encourage them, Kai, for the next 3 minutes.
Okay, let's focus on direction, redirection, and empowerment. That's what I spoke of at the symposium, and I just want to encourage the listeners to understand that as well. You will have a direction for where you want your life to head, and you will be redirected, because that is life, that is humanity, that's what's going to happen. Whether it be by illness, as she said previously, illness of financial security, illness of faith, illness within the family, something will happen. You will be redirected. But once you find your direction, you are able to empower yourselves and empower others. There is a statement that I live by very heavily. Make fantasy a reality. Work till your fantasy becomes your reality, and your dreams will never die. You can dream as much as you want, but as you work towards making them real, you always have to remember that your dreams will never die. You always will empower people in that way. So I'm hoping that you guys are not getting from this that I'm some super smart person, or that I had it all together. I broke down so many times. I broke down. I didn't give up. I'm telling you, I broke down. It is okay to break. It is okay to cry. It is okay to ask for help. We have this societal, this thing in Jamaica where nobody enough know my business, nobody enough know my weak. Nah, cut that out. Sometimes you really need help, and if them say no, you move on, you get up and you're gone with your life. What gonna happen? What gonna happen if them say no? You're going to drop dead? No, you're not. You're going to get up, and you're going to keep going towards whatever you want to do. So that is literally my ending statement. Make fantasy your reality, and your dreams will never die. Dream as high, as vast as you want, and it will never die as long as you try to make it your reality.
Thank you. On that note, we want to say thank you to Kai Clark, who has taken time out of our busy schedule to be with us here on St. Andrew South Beach on this program, Roots 96.1 FM. We also want to thank you, our listeners, from wherever you tune in from this morning. We appreciate you being a part of this broadcast. We want to thank our studio engineer, Owen Brown. We want to thank all the persons here at Roots 96.1 FM who have given us this platform to express, to help, and to educate our listeners. Join us again next week right here on Roots 96.1 FM for another episode of the program St. Andrew South Beats. I'm your host, Alex Bloomfield, and my co-host is
Tanya Lane.
Until then, walk good.
And if you try to fix more than you break, if you're the kind who takes the time to help a stranger in the rain, there's a place for people like you. For people like you.